Hello world! This is the second installment in the Beautify Your City Quick Tips series. Today I will show you how to de-jank some landscape, as you see here, in its janky form. And I'll show you this using both the vanilla game and or console vanilla game, as well as using the Move It mod along with the extra landscaping tools mod. So let's get right in and see what is going on with this ore industry. As we can see here, there is some extra janky something going on here. You see how these mills and digging sites and mines, they're sticking up out of the ground in all these awful looking ways. I personally do not like the way this looks. So I would like to fix this for my city because I enjoy my cities being pretty. First, I'm going to show you how to do this in vanilla. After vanilla, I will show you the extra things you can do with two mods to really take it a step further. But we can help it with vanilla. So this is going to be our easiest example over here. The reason I say it's the easiest example is because we have more land around it to work with, which is important. So in vanilla, once you get far enough, or if you've unlocked everything, you have these landscaping options. So this one, we will not use a whole heck of a lot. It's the option that lets you just make the soil land go up or down. I tend to use these two to solve this problem. So we'll start with the second option. It is level terrain. So what you want to do first, have it selected. And down here with vanilla, this tells you how strong the action is that you're taking. So if it's down here on the first level, it's not going to move things as much. So the third strength is the strongest. We're going to use that for this option. So we're going to go back to our level terrain. Now first, you're going to use your right mouse click, and I don't know what that is on console, but I'm sure you can figure it out. You want to right click the level where the asset is. So in this case, it's the higher level. Down here, I'll show you, but you'll click the lower level down here. So right click the higher level, and that basically sets your terrain to remember, your tool to remember that that's the level that you want. Then you're going to come around it and you're going to left click all around here, and that will bring the terrain up to that level. Now this, you don't need this to be pretty yet. This does not have to be pretty. And when you see it kind of getting a little weird like that as well, just do it again. Just right click again and come back out. Right click again, come back out. So you want to go pretty far, really kind of as far as it lets you. Now there's obviously some wacky stuff happening here. Let's just do it. Okay, it's unwhacked. Great, so this is enough to work with. So this looks horrible, right? Let's get rid of the lines. Still looks bad. You know, although I'll say it looks better, but we can do so much better than this, even with vanilla. So we'll go back to our landscaping tools. This is where we use the third option, the soften terrain option. I'm going to keep it at the strongest strength. I might go up a size though. This here is purely the area of effect. So small, medium, large. I don't tend to use the large. So let's go to the small, or the medium, excuse me. And I'm just going to left click along the edge, right along the edge first. And I'm hoping that will UnJank itself. And then I'm going to come along the bottom of the edge, and I'm going to keep going. And then, see, it looks a lot better. And then I'm going to take the smallest level, and this is where I'll get closer to the asset, but I'm going to try not to touch the actual sides of the asset boundaries. And I'm just going to smoothen this out as well. And you can kind of see those thin lines. You can see them smoothing themselves out as we go along. And it looks great. Now, what's happening though is we are using up our soil availability. Even in the vanilla game, there is a quote mod that you can turn on that gives you unlimited soil. And quite honestly, I always play with it on. How much better does that look than when we started? So I'll show you once again with this asset down here. It's the same thing, just a little bit backwards. So let's go to our level terrain. I'm going to right click where the asset is, and I'm going to push out around it with my left click just to give us some space. And you'll notice I'm going to butt up against this. So I'm going to be conscious of that and not kind of undo everything that we've just done there. So now this time, because we're kind of working with a smaller area, I'm going to keep it on small. I'm going to go to the soften, and I'm going to kind of retrace our steps so it doesn't look like we just did what we just did. Beautiful. I think that looks okay. So now we look back, and how much better? It's great. Now, the one thing about vanilla is that when it comes to the assets being side by side like this, it's really tough to do really anything with it. So what I would suggest to you is try to place your assets, if you're on a terrain like this that is sloped and you know you're going to get this weird jank going on, place your assets away from each other so that you have the room to do what we've just done a couple times. So right click where the asset is, left click all around it. So I'm raising this land up, I'm pushing this land down, and then take your soften and soften. Just let that get nice, less sharp. Here we're really gonna try to, yeah, that looks okay. And then the same thing here, right click where your asset is, left click around it, and soften. Now, one thing that will happen until you kind of get practice with it is if you go around the corner, now it's become very obvious that this corner is the corner of the asset when you look at it, right? Sometimes you can maybe put a couple rocks there to make it less obvious, but if you can go out, right click, left click, go out further around the corner, and then do your soften a little bit more, then you are making that sharp 90-degree angle much less obvious or non-existent. So I'm rather pleased with how that looks. That is how I would suggest to kind of roll things in the vanilla game. With vanilla, if you're working in a tight space like this, there's really not much you're going to be able to do. So why don't we take a look and see what we can do better with some mods installed. All right, this is the exact same aura area with the mods installed. We've undone what we did with vanilla. Just a recap of how we can do that exact same thing with the mods installed. So the relevant mod here is the extra landscaping tools mod. This is the same, so we're still going to use this. But the only difference is instead of kind of the buttons down here, we have these sliders here. So I just slide it to make it a size that I care about. I keep my brush strength at full when I'm doing these. So I right click, left click around, and it is still doing that wacky thing. Now I take my soften, maybe put the brush size down a wee bit, and just let it kind of sort itself out. Done. Gosh. Now, same thing down here. Right click the asset, left click around it, and soften it to see what we can do. We've got all this. This is tough. We don't have room to do what we did over there. We could do something pretty drastic, I think. And I think we're going to. Let's try this. Let's just try to get this done. We'll start with this side of the dividing road. What we're going to do is take the Move It mod down here in the bottom right, click it. This button that it defaults to allows you to select a single thing, you know, at a time, or you can shift and select everything you want to select, but that's pain. This second one allows you to drag and select like a shape of things, a rectangular shape of things. So we're going to grab almost everything. So I've got the marquee selection tool. I'm going to start with all of this. We might kind of need to adjust as we carry on. I'm going to hold shift on my keyboard, grab a couple of these roads here. Sure, these trees fine. I might grab Might try to grab these. Well, you know, let's adjust these afterwards because I'll show you what's about to happen. So now, as we saw in episode 1, you guys know, if you watched episode 1, you know that you can press Control H on your keyboard. So I've now got Control H like in action, ready to go. And then I'm going to choose a node up along here, and then that's going to change everything that's green to be in line with that node. So let's try it on this one. It worked. It did what I wanted it to do. Now, obviously this doesn't stay like this. We've got some touch-ups to do here. But those touch-ups are actually pretty basic. So we're going to go back to our landscaping tool, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to maybe make our brush size a little bit bigger this time, but we're going to right-click the height that we want things to move up to, and then we're going to start left-clicking kind of all around it. It's gonna be a lot, but it's gonna be worth it in the end. So let's get this all where we want it to be. Now it's time to continue with that landscaping tool. Why don't we go back around the outside of the places that we just did the slopes on, and we'll do a similar technique. So when it's on a slope like this, I tend to do small lines outwards. So I'm right-clicking the area on the road and I'm left-clicking away from it. It can be messy. That's fine. We will make it better later. But I just kind of redo the right-click, left-click. Just so that it kind of messily carries that slope with it. So I'm going to go around and do this again. Here's where it actually happens. Careful to watch out for water. I just noticed that myself. So now we take the Soften Terrain tool, keep it at maximum brush strength for something this big, and we just go around and start to make this not look like a giant cliff face. This might take some solid time. I think when it's done, it's really worth it though. So speed it up for you guys. I'll go around, I'll start to make this look, you know, better. And let's see what we can turn this into. Oh, look at all the cars. I'm so sorry, trains and trucks. Thank you for giving us a show to watch. That is hilarious. Wow, oh wow. We'll just let that happen. There's a couple more things we need to do to finish up this transformation. Thing number 1. I personally think trees look weird on the sides of the kind of mountains, cliffs like this. So I will get rid of them by coming here back to the marquee selection. And if you double click on trees, it'll select just trees. And I'm just going to get rid of most of the trees that are along here. Certainly not everyone. I pressed copy, of course. like these giant redwoods, I think they are. They look pretty neat. And the odd tree here and there is fine, but mostly I feel they look out of place. So let me, whoa, grab all of these from a better perspective and get rid of them. We can put rocks there, we can put other things there to spice it up, and these ones as well. The last problem area for me, for this ore industry area, is this whole business. I don't like it. Excuse my pause menu. The only solution I can find here is to take this firehouse. We're going to move it. Take this large ore mine and get it over there. Now we have room to play with. Even with mods, you can't always fix everything the way that it is. So we'll just, now we can do the exact same thing that we had been doing. And, you know, we'll just finish this up. And when you have an asset that isn't cooperating, like this guy, it's a vanilla building as well. Throw some rocks on it. It'll be fine. That's the best I think we could do with that. So, this area is quite different. It is a much different shape than it was before. We no longer have the jank between the buildings, and I think that's worth it. Sometimes building on those sloped landscapes can be really difficult. So, let me know what you thought of this episode. Let me know what sort of beautification tips you want next. If you didn't see episode 1, it's very short. It's all about bridges. And thanks for watching, guys.